Hello there. You have entered into a safe chemical handling training in VR. We always ensure the presence of 2 technicians and 1 supervisor/engineer in the chemical handling work area. So, meet our supervisor here. To say hello, extend your hand and use your controller to touch them. To say hello to supervisor, use your controller to touch them. He will be your virtual guide while loading chemicals drums into chemical dispense modules. Before any chemical handling work, we ensure all workers are well and all necessary PPE and the emergency equipments are in place and in working condition. Let's go ahead and inspect all the necessary equipment from the list. We have already inspected the PPE condition manually. Next, you will find hand tools in the locker. Inspect them for any corrosion or wear and tear. Touch all the corroded tools to replace them. Next, we shall ensure the chemicals are in usable condition. Touch the drum to check for the expiry date of the chemical stored. Touch the drum to check for the expiry date of the chemical stored. Great! The chemical manufactured is well within its storage shelf life. Point and trigger towards the electrical stacker inspection tag highlight there. For material handling equipment such as forklifts and electric stackers, always check for a competent person's inspection tag with its inspection and due dates to confirm equipment safety. The electrical stackers in here and forklifts used in the yard are already inspected and are in healthy working condition. Point towards the spill kit inspection tag pasted on the bin and press trigger. Spill kit must also be checked manually for their physical condition, healthiness, and validity. Here, in this kit you will find first aid contents stocked for immediate assistance. Always routinely check the expiry and availability of them in the kit to be prepared for emergencies. Point towards and press the trigger for the highlighted apparatus. Point towards and press the trigger for the highlighted apparatus. Point towards and press the trigger for the highlighted apparatus. Point towards and press the trigger for the highlighted apparatus. You must also be aware of the location of emergency management apparatus like manual call point, fire extinguishers, SCBA at all times for immediate response in those situations. In case of emergency evacuation, always follow the exit signs marked in the area. The pathways for movement must always be free and open with no obstructions to the movement. Identify any objects that are blocking the emergency exits. Point at the objects for 2 seconds to clear them. The stacker and waste bin here are obstructing the exit. Point at them for 2 seconds to free the area. Point towards highlighted apparatus and press trigger. Point towards highlighted apparatus and press trigger. Point towards highlighted apparatus and press trigger. Good work! The pathways are now free in the storage room. Next, let's ensure access control signages are placed at the entry gate of work area. Unauthorized entry is prohibited in all the chemical handling areas. Therefore, do not enter the chemical storage area without being permitted by supervisor. We will now look into the reactive incompatible properties that can cause hazardous reactions while handling or storing these chemicals. Point towards the chemical compatibility chart on the wall and press trigger. The chemical compatibility chart here separates various chemical properties based on their reactive nature. This chart will help in making decisions about chemical storage segregation. For example, a chemical which is dangerous when it's wet should always be set apart at a minimum distance of 5 meters away from a chemical that is graded as level 2 toxic gas. In case of exposure, leaks or spills, chemicals stored in here are thus segregated based on their reactive properties to ensure safe compatibility. Point towards the nitric acid past incident label and trigger. In a past chemical spill incident, a contractor, without proper guidance or full PPE, tried to contain a nitric acid spill with an incompatible chemical can. This risky move led to a reaction, resulting in burns on his ear and shoulder. Which is why you need to learn the chemical do's and don'ts thoroughly. In addition to this list, always make sure of availability of MSDS documents and CO2/DCP fire extinguisher. Do not handle chemicals until authorized to do so. Ensure the chemical barrel is not overfilled. Ensure usage of right tools for unpacking the chemical drums. Check the barrel for spills, leaks, and inform supervisor if leaks are found. Hand over the empty barrels to respective department. Ensure the chemical is completely exhausted from the chemical dispense modules and containers. Point towards the Safe Chemical Containment Strategies label and trigger. For safe chemical dispensing, leak sensors are present in chemical modules to quickly detect chemical spills. Point towards the Safe Chemical Containment Strategies label and trigger. And double-layered systems like pipe-in-pipe and drum-in-drum standards are followed in the chemical handling areas. Here, the inner container carries or stores the hazardous chemical and the outer container acts as an extra barrier to contain any leaks and to protect against environmental damage. It is important that workers must read and understand the SDS before handling hazardous chemicals, as labels might not cover all safety instructions for storage, handling, and use. The earlier nitric acid spill incident highlights the importance of consulting the HNO3 SDS sheet to understand the correct spill handling procedure. Let's look into the nitric acid SDS to understand better. The chemical nitric acid is considered hazardous as it may intensify fire, may be corrosive to metals, and on exposure could cause severe skin burns and eye damage. Therefore, always check the MSDS to know the spill's hazards before cleanup. Prioritize safe handling and first aid, and if unsure, evacuate and call for help. We have 5 acids stored in this room. Use this time to understand the hazard identifications for each chemical. Point your controller towards the chemical stand to learn more. Point and click towards each barrel groups to understand more about each chemical. Point your controller towards the chemical stand to learn more. And lastly, here's the MSDS for POCl3, phosphorus oxychloride, which is a dangerous gas used in cell production. It needs to be safely stored in a strong glass chamber to prevent exposure and health hazards. Touch the Done button to move to the alkali storage room. This is the alkali and additive storage room. Use this time to understand the hazard identifications for the highlighted chemicals. Point your controller towards the chemical stand to learn more. We are in the supply yard and we just received a new supply of chemical stock. We use forklifts to unload/load these chemical-filled 200L drums from the truck and assemble them in storage area. There are potential safety hazards during this transportation: spills/leaks/overload of liquid material during transfer, fall of tools, inhalation hazard of chemicals, hit against person/containment/barrels. Let us mark the line of fire to ensure access control around the forklift. This would help to keep forklift's movement free to the storage area. Point at the red zone and select to mark the line of fire. Good work! Remember, keep a safe distance from falling objects, 15 feet from a pallet, 5 feet on each side, and 5 feet behind the forklift. And never walk around the forks during operation, stay all clear. A preliminary checkup of the vendor-supplied drums must be carried out before stocking. Select all the points from checklist so that I can verify them for you. Great! I have verified that the conditions from the list are checked. Before connecting the chemical drum to the chemical dispense module's CDS, we ensure the exhaustive CDS is working and if proper PPE is worn. Yes, you are wearing the mandatory PPEs. Now in the case for safety checks in exhaust system, exhaust-related notification will automatically pop up if any error is there. Now, let's activate stop command using PLC. Next, we must activate the local emergency stop button at the dispense module. Push the local emergency stop button. Good work! The empty CDS is safely prepped. We can now connect the chemical drum using an electrical stacker. Whenever you use a stacker to lift up a filled drum or barrel, do it with utmost care to avoid falls and hits. Do not hurt yourself with the containment. I have already adjusted the drum on the stacker and secured it with chains to reduce the risk of drum falling over. Touch the door stopper so I shall lock the door for you. Now, let me go ahead and align the stacker compartment with the CDS. It's done. Let's slowly push the drum into the CDS. Now before connecting the drum to system, I have opened the pressure releasing cap slowly to vent out the gas/fumes formed inside the drum. Do not operate if spills/overload of chemical is found. Carefully, grab the chemical dispense head dip tube and align it onto the drum nozzle. Avoid chemical leaks, do not inhale chemicals. If resistance is felt during the tightening process, unscrew the dispense head and readjust the alignment. Retighten until the dispense head is properly fit to the drum. Let's recheck the installation. Touch the flexible tubing to ensure it is free from bending. Quick! There's a large spill on the floor that occurred while transferring the drum to the dispense module. Select the spill to attend to it. To attend to a chemical spill, always equip with the appropriate emergency PPE. You will need a respirator mask and a full-body Tyvek suit that is resistant to chemicals. That's the correct PPE. Let's suit up. You will need a respirator mask and a full-body Tyvek suit to attend to the spill. Select the correct PPE from the list. Well done. Now, let's inform the authorities regarding the spill. Select the supervisor to inform him about the spill incident. Select the supervisor to inform him about the spill incident. The spill is quite major. Select the manual call point to activate the alarm. Select the MCP to activate the alarm. Well done. The emergency authorities are notified about the major spill. In events of an unidentified spill, the color of acid is often colorless and can be mistaken for water. Which is why we use this pH paper provided to us. The pH paper is used as a visual indicator to determine whether the liquid is acidic or alkaline in nature. Let's identify this liquid. Grab the pH and drop it on spilled liquid, mod1_VO097. Let's identify this liquid. Grab the pH and drop it on spilled liquid. When spill is identified in the work area, we make sure that we prepare a cautionary zone restricting man movement in that area. Let's use this caution tape to mark the spill zone. Use your controller to point and trigger button to select the markers I have displayed in front of you. Once you do that, I will add the caution tapes accordingly. Use your controller to point and select the markers I have displayed in front of you. Next, we must restrict the flow of the spill. Remember, if there are drains in the area, use a boom, sock, or other material to prevent the hazardous material from reaching the drain. Select the spill kit bin to take out the absorbent pillows/socks and pads. Grab the absorbent pillows and place them in the highlighted area. Grab the absorbent pillows and place them in the highlighted area. Good work! Now, we gently pour acid neutralizing agent, e.g., sodium bicarbonate, calcium carbonate, etc., over the spill, working from the outside in. Select the calcium hydroxide sac so that I can pour the powder on the acid. Select the calcium hydroxide sac so that I can pour the neutralizing powder on the acid. Allow several minutes for acid to mix with neutralizer, then test a representative area with pH paper. Allow several minutes for acid to mix with neutralizer, then test a representative area with pH paper. Grab the pH paper and drop it on spill area. If the color turns orange or red, add more of the neutralizing agent and wait for the acid to mix with it, and then test the area with pH paper again. pH paper does not show any color change, that means the acid is neutralized. So it's safe for cleanup now. Well done! Next, we must remove any fire ignition source or incompatible material if it's safe to do so. Ensure good ventilation in the spill area to avoid the risk of inhaling the chemical fumes. When the spill has been neutralized, use the available absorbent pads or paper towel to wipe up the spilled material. Grab the pads and use it to wipe the neutralized spill remains. Grab the pads and use it to wipe the neutralized spill remains. I have stored all waste into a plastic bag, and what is left to do is to label it as hazardous. Grab the label and paste it on the bin. Great work! I shall submit the waste bag to the Chemical Waste Disposal Management. Before attending to the spill, always check if good flow of water is available at the work area. If the water flow is limited, do not attempt to clean up the spill. Inform the authorities and evacuate. Point and click on the emergency contact signage. In case of emergency, call the emergency contact number which is displayed for further assistance. If any hazardous material has spilled on you, remove affected clothing immediately and flush the area with water. Touch your sleeve to remove the clothing. I shall intimate the emergency contact person. They will call the plant doctor for immediate medical assistance. Done. Quickly now. Let's flush the area for at least 15 minutes. This will neutralize the acid on your arm. Pull the lever to start the shower. Now, after we have utilized the emergency shower, we must seek appropriate medical treatment immediately. Great timing. The ambulance is already here.